These are players that release the ball off 2 fingers many times. It is a skill to have the ball come off 2 fingers at the same time. It is a conscious awareness that will allow a shooter to even exceed higher success. This is not common news right now. I discovered this based on Euclid and Einstein. If this player knows that 2 fingers have to touch it last and stay on line, even this guy, they will raise, there's the 2 fingers right there, their percentage to near perfection. Players can use their 2 middle, or they can use their index and middle. Whichever fingers they pick and stick. These players are the greatest in the world. There's a 1-finger release. That ball slipped off LeBron James' hand. We want a 2-finger release. Well, our fingers are different heights. That's why we spread them. If you spread your fingers right now, you will see how you can have a capsule for the ball to fit inside the 2 fingers. If they're too close together, then the height difference of the fingers will be revealed, and you and I will not have a sweet spot delivery. 1 finger touching the ball last, that's too much responsibility to cover. That's gutting the middle of the ball. That's the mass. There's too much room for error slipping from the middle to the outside. Look at that. Dirk Nowitzki, that's perfect. That's going to roll off right off his 2 fingers. Roller coaster to the basket. There it is right there. The ball's coming off 2 fingers. It can't come off 1. 2 is true, 1 is done. And then we must hold our 2 fingers facing the basket so that we get the roller coaster effect. That allows a player to know for a fact that they're going to get what they ask for. And that is the equivalence theory. The ball's coming off 2 fingers here, and his practice is going to allow the distance to be measured. One night you're shooting well, one night you may not. A lot of the variables on these shooters are defenses. Shooting the basketball is getting better and better. We have a right to make every open balanced look. We must first learn to make open balanced looks before we can make shots with a hand in our face. That's just like learning to walk before you run. If you can knock down the open jumper, you're going to be very hard to deal with. What happens is that folks do not incubate form shooting. We must hold the standard that, hey, our athletes must be able to knock down the open look. And not just some of them, all of them. That is my campaign. There is an explanation to the shot. There's 2 questions that every shooter can answer. 1, can I get 2 fingers straight up to release the ball at the same exact time toward the basket? 2, after I release the ball, can I leave those 2 fingers facing the basket? Now the next answer is the equivalence principle. You will get the quantum theory make, because it's coming off 2. He leaves the 2 facing the basket, and it goes right up and down into the basket like a roller coaster. This is obviously indoors. Outdoors, there is what is called centripetal force, wind. Centripetal force is defense also. I am discussing the open balance look. When this young man has an open balance look, if he knows that his two sweet spot fingers must touch the ball last at the same time, facing the basket, and at the end of his shot, his two fingers are straight up and side by side, he will make every shot, every time. And he will leave his two fingers in an open balance look. The forehead, chin, shoulder, knee, and toe over the top of one another is the perfect mechanics in the align, release, and follow through. Human beings have proprioceptors between the nerves and joints that provide the cerebral ability to use the exact musculature within the posture that is assumed. But that muscle memory can only be achieved when the athlete is in the proper posture and has accrued practice over time. Great picture of the two fingers facing the basket. His last two fingers to touch the ball. I have a master's degree in sports science. I love physics and math because it allows politics not to be the determining factor in teaching motor movement and launch projectile skills. Whatever activity we're involved in, there is a process that allows an individual to have perfection. In a shooting situation, open look, if a shooter gets their two fingers side by side up and they are last to touch the ball with the five body parts, forehead, chin, shoulder, knee, and toe over the top of one another, from the align, release, and follow through, with practice, they will make every shot. If they miss, the ball slipped out of those two fingers. There is an explanation for every shot. So if you take 15 shots a night, I will be able to look at a player and determine why they missed and made. And here are the variables. Side-to-side misses are based on if it came off two fingers at the same time. If it rolls off one finger to the outside of the body, then it will go to the outside of the rim. If it comes off one finger from going into the midline of the body, then they will miss on the inside part of the rim, depending lefty or righty. If it hits the front of the rim, one of our five body parts would have retracted away from the rim. If it hits the back of the rim, that is a muscle memory miss human element. That is based on practice. Practice will determine the alleviation of back of the rim misses. So, you and I, as approved human beings for athletic competition, have the right to understand how to make every shot in an open, balanced look. And until we get that thought,